Agent Breakfast Club, it has had a major impact on a lot of people in this room. It's created a lot more of appointments, a lot more production is taking place from it. And I just got off the phone with Cooley a little bit earlier, and he's going to work on something for us for the listing presentation, in which he's going to probably create, maybe it's going to start off being like 1 day a week, where he is going to work with people on their listing presentation. He's probably going to start watching your videos, because every Wednesday we put somebody up in the front, we record them doing the presentation, and he's probably going to watch some of those. He'll be able to give some honest feedback and be able to utilize those things on those weekly listing presentation type of Breakfast Club things. We'll figure out a name for it or something. So, but it was, Andrew was talking to him on the phone. I go, bam, this is what we probably need to do. And so he liked that idea, is going to start working on that idea. The biggest focus here right now is, where is our intention at? Because what I will see is there's a group of people in this office that have very clear intention. And the agents in the room that have the clearest of intentions are getting the most results, right? I'm not saying nobody else is getting results. And I think we have a misunderstanding sometimes of what intention really means, right? Because I think we all want to be productive, we all want to get results, we all want to do things, but there's a big difference in having clear intentions and understanding what those intentions really are. And I'll kind of give some examples, right? Because we just did the mid-year review, so most people in this room, they kind of just sized up their January 1st to June 31st, or June 30th, whatever it was, those 6 months. You're in there, your intention is to go, where the hell am I at in my business right now, right? You know, what do my numbers look like? What is really going on in my business? Am I at where I want to be, where I'm supposed to be? And what do I need to do to stay on course, catch up, or even get way past what I thought I could do in the remaining 6 months of the year? Okay? And then when we look at your goals, and you look at your next quarterly business plan, you look at that the monthly action plan, your monthly goals, you look at your weekly goals. The reason why we have that set up within this organization is to create clarity in your business so you can have that intense intention in your business. And so it takes place is that if you really don't look at those things as something that is going to get you where you want to be, the intentions kind of be out of whack. If you're that person that doesn't do your monthly goals in time, and what I mean by that is, hey, it's June 28th, it's June 27th, I need to go ahead and create my goals for the next month. I need to go ahead and get my goals ready for July, and I need to start taking account of what I've done so far in June, right? But if you're not doing that monthly goal sheet until July 5th, what are your intentions? Are you most likely going to hit everything on target, or are you probably going to be behind? And are you going to be in this situation or get in this cycle where you're constantly going, all right, next month I'm going to be super fresh, I'm going to start it the right way, and then that thing keeps on going over and over and over. And a lot of times for people that don't have the right intentions, doing those kind of documents seems like, what's the point? It's like, man, what's up with all this stuff? I got to put all these goals out, I got to complete these sheets, I got to get all these things going. Well, it's because you're not in alignment with where you really want to be at. You have this idea and you have these hopes of where you want to be at, but hopes ain't gonna, pay the bills. You have to get this clear intention. And so I want you to start thinking about, hey, do I have the best intention? Is it super clear when I'm getting this mid-year review done, when I'm getting my goals for the week done and doing my actuals for the week before? Am I just getting these numbers into Yolanda on Sunday because I have to do it? Or is it because I understand this is gonna be one of the biggest drivers in getting me where I really wanna be? And are you taking the time to look at it and go, I don't want to be in a position where next Monday Yolanda has to talk to me about the same stupid ass shit that she talked to me about last week, or do I want to be growing, and do I want to be evolving, and do I want to have breakthroughs? Well, you have to have some clear intention when you're doing those types of things and those kinds of activities to prepare yourself to grow, right? And then you look at your monthly goal the same way, you look at your quarterly goals the same way, and your overall yearly goal the same way. These things need to be in front of you all the time. If you're not looking at your monthly goals throughout the day, if you're not looking at your weekly goals throughout the day, if you're not looking at that big number for the end of the year throughout the day, what's your real intention, right? In most cases, like we're watching baseball, everybody loves the Astros right now. There's an idea of how many games the Astros need to win to be in the position they want to be in, right? Do you think they're thinking about that number all the time? Even the fans are thinking about that number all the time. I got to hear my dad. My dad would go, God damn, the Astros lost 4 times in a row. They couldn't even score a damn home run, right? It's because the numbers are going to be off. The intention is super clear that we got to win a certain amount of these games. So you have to be looking out for yourself the same way. And then the next part in your business where you want to start having that clear intention is the actual schedule, right? For example, and you're going to hear this from, AD and Jose and Patrick, right? Because I think they've really been holding themselves accountable to how clear their intentions are, and this is why they've been doing the things they've been doing. Most of us in here want to set an appointment every single day, right? By show of hands, let's be really honest. Who in here gets into the office with an insane drive and an insane desire to take a listing today? Like, be real with yourself. Is it like all you're thinking about when you're getting into the office? I got to take a listing today. Be honest if that's you right now, right? So in most cases, it's like, I need to kind of follow this schedule today. I need to talk to 30 people. Whose goal in here is to talk to 30 people every day, for the most part? At least 30 people, right? So a lot of times you're thinking about those 30 people. How much are you thinking about the actual appointment that you need to be taking today, the appointments you want to set today? And what happens is that we can have an intention. So like, I'll give an example. Last month, my accountability group, we had Udibe, we had DP, we had Patrick, and we had Jose. The intention every day was what, Patrick? A set appointment every day. What's crazy is every single day that month, everybody set an appointment, right? And the difference is that in the month before is that they just wanted to set an appointment versus I couldn't go home. Udibe would literally be here like at 9 o'clock trying to set an appointment. And the first night, right? He's like, shit, I can't start this off bad, right? Did you set an appointment? You know what I'm saying? Did you feel better by doing that? It changes the game dynamically for you if you go, I ain't leaving until I set a pre-qualified appointment with a buyer or a seller, right? Versus the other groups, other people in the office may go, I hope I set an appointment today. I hope I take a listing this week, right? But I know I need to at least maybe make some contacts. Guys, the contacts are very important, but the contacts are there to make sure that you're spending your time wisely. If you make 5 contacts a day, are you really spending your time wisely in the day? Most likely not, right? If you're talking to 10 people in a day, I spent some time. But in reality, as a salesperson, Mike says that you need to spend 60, 70, 80% of your time doing money-making activities. Money-making activities are, I'm on the phone or in person looking to identify a buyer or seller, right? The next thing is I'm with a buyer and they're going to go buy a house right now, or I'm with the seller and they're going to list a property with me today, right? Those are the real money-making activities. And so you have to make sure you're not sitting there just working on your business, working in your business in a sense where I'm just trying to make sure these deals actually go through, and then you waste 4 hours a day working on one file, and that time stops you from being in a position where you have 5, 8, 10 files, because that's the position that we all really want to be in for you, or that's what we want for you, right? And so we really want to create that intention, because see, the next step from that accountability group is not just, I want to set an appointment every single day. The idea should be is, okay, well, what's my intention when I wake up at 5 in the morning? Justin has very clear intentions, right? Anybody following Justin on Instagram? Like, you realize Justin wakes up before all of you, right? Justin is at the gym like at 4:01, right? Pretty much 4 o'clock on the dot, right? He has a clear intention, and Justin knows what he's working. You typically know what you're working on that day, right? He knows what he's working on, right? What am I doing in the gym that day? While a lot of people are just like, hopefully I can get in there today. That intention is off. That's why you're not going to get the results that you want, and somebody else is going to get a lot more results out of that time. You may be doing the similar activities, but you're not getting the same result. It's because the intention is all out of whack. You know, if you want to save time, you want to make more money, you want to be more profitable, right? You want to create more clarity, have less anxiety about your business and your life as a whole, you need to focus your energy on the kind of intention that you have. And then what happens is when you go, okay, well, I'm going to show up to the office at 7 o'clock. I know that's not everybody in this room, but let's say, well, what is my intention? Somebody can show up at 7 o'clock and they can just walk around for 30 minutes until the Breakfast Club starts and they get nothing done. And the other person goes, I have 5 things I need to get off my plate before 7:30 hits, and I'm going to knock those things off one by one. I got to send that email out. I got to do those comps. I got to do this. I got to do that. Clear intention from 7 to 7:30, right? Then 7:30 comes around, and like what happens is on the Breakfast Club, I'll see there's like 7 people on at 7:30, and then from 7:30 to 7:35, 7:38, more people start piling in the Breakfast Club. What the hell's your intention? Could you imagine if you were hosting a Breakfast Club yourself and you're there helping people out and you show up 5 minutes late? Is your intention really where it needs to be? What's the difference between getting on there shouldn't be anything holding you back from getting on there, right? It's just you don't have clear enough intentions. And some of it is probably like, oh, hopefully he doesn't call on me today, so I have to role play with him, right? But then is your intention on getting better throughout that role play session and through that Pro Agent Breakfast Club? The intention should be like, dude, he is going to call on me. I'm going to literally tell him to call on me. I want to get better. And between now and the next Breakfast Club, I actually want to build my skill level up 1%. Versus it's the same skill level for the next month, and then it just grows a little bit, right? Is your intention to grow slower or faster? faster, right? So where's my intention on these things, right? And then from 8 to 11, I need to be in the game. I need to be prospect. I need to be lead generating. What is your typical, somebody in here give me, what is your typical intention from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock? Somebody give me something. What is your intention? Set an appointment. In reality, a top producer, somebody who's going to sell 40, 50 plus homes a year, their intention is to set a pre-qualified appointment at minimum every single hour. See, what happens is for you, like I'm prospecting, I'm talking to people, hopefully I set an appointment this morning, I got to set an appointment this morning. How would it change for you if your intention was like, I better set one pre-qualified appointment before 8 o'clock? What would happen for your business would be insane. Because then you'd get in a position where you don't realize it, because right now you don't feel like that's a possibility in most people's cases, right? They're like, oh, there's some days I don't set any appointments. Well, because your intention's off. Hey, trust me, if you leave without an appointment, is your intention very clear that your goal was to set an appointment? Or was that secondary to whatever else is going on in your life, right? If you're a professional baseball player, professional football player, isn't everything secondary to baseball, right? Because that's your bread and butter. You don't do that. If that's secondary to you, then are you going to last in baseball too long? And then you don't make any money, you don't live that life you want to live, you can't provide like you want to provide, and then you're teaching a high school football team or baseball team for 40 grand a year. Where should the intention have been? It should have been working and making sure I was getting the most out of my time, right? And so the mindset with intention starts to go, well, I got to set an appointment every single hour. And then what if you start getting in a position where you do set 2 or 3 appointments every single 8 to 11? Is your business going to be way more productive than what it is right now? And aren't you going to be in a position where, because anybody in here ever had a deal you didn't want to do because the people suck on the deal? Happens all the damn time, right? You can go, bye, I have enough business going on. I don't got to worry about you, right? I don't got to deal with it. But what happens is if we don't do enough, if we don't have enough intention, right? If we're not really focused hyperly on these types of activities and what we want out of these activities, we have to just work with like whatever we get. Right? And so we need to make sure that your intention is super clear. And the problem with the intention aspect of things, if you give yourself too much time to accomplish something, it doesn't get done. You feel like you have time. Oh, I got all day to set that appointment. And then 5 o'clock goes around or 3 o'clock comes around and somebody's like, hey, you need to go get groceries. You need to pick up the kid. You need to go do this. Oh, I need to go do whatever the case may be. And in reality, you're sitting there, oh, I'm going to try better tomorrow. Right? The intention is what really is making the difference for a lot of the people in this room that are taking it serious, right? And the only reason why I don't have 5, 6, 7, 10 people coming up here is just because I just went and said, hey, these 3 people, and I could do this next week with like Justin and a handful of other people. But I think most of everybody's answers that you're going to see are going to be very similar, and it's going to show why that intention makes that difference, right? And then afterwards, like think about a coaching meeting that you're jumping into. How many of you feel like every week you're growing a little bit, but you're kind of in the same place that you were? You and Yolanda are having to talk about some of the same things week in, week out. Anybody have that sometimes? That's called natural. That's called natural. You don't have to beat yourself up about it, right? But what's not natural and what starts to become a problem is the fact if this becomes something where Yolanda still has to talk to you about stuff a month later and it's the same problem over and over again. Right? Like, what are we doing here? Like, you're a grown-up, right? We're grown-ups. The idea is we should be evolving and getting more out of our time versus spending more time and get less out of it. So we want to be in a position where in that coaching session with Yolanda, am I so clear in the intentions that I have and what I want to get out of this that by every single week, Yolanda's watching me grow and it's showing me that I'm growing? Because sometimes you get caught up in the race and you don't realize how much you're growing. But Yolanda will tell you, oh shit, this person is getting better each and every single week, and we have conversations about this stuff. Think about the sales trainings every single day. How often do you hear a sales training, or you're in here for a sales training, and you actually go back through all of those notes and actually put it into play in your business? Quite often it's like, I know those things are really good, that sounded really good, and that would make me a lot better, but I have other priorities in the way, and it's not your intention to actually put this stuff into practice for you. Right? Some people after this meeting are going to go, I need to be way more clear on my intentions, because if I raise the standards for my intentions, I'm going to raise the standards for the kind of business I'm doing, for the way I'm living my life, the way I'm able to provide for myself and others. Things just follow suit when those intentions get very clear. And so are you getting the most out of those sales meetings? And are you digesting those things appropriately, or are you just trying to get on with your day, right? Because there's going to be people in the room that are going to take advantage of those sales meetings, and you're going to see them get to 24, 36, 40 plus transactions a year, and the other ones are just going to go, oh, I did 7, I did 5, I did 11, and they'll blame other people and other things for the reasons why they're not being productive, and it's really just because their intention was way off and other people's intention was way on, right? And then think about your intention the rest of the day after a sales meeting. Hey, do you have your schedule planned out to where it's like, you know what? I do administrative duties from this time to this time, and I am bulletproof in that time. I get everything, I get 3 hours worth of shit done in those 45 minutes because I'm very intentional about what I'm doing. And then what's my goal for the rest of the day? Well, I have an appointment at this time. I got to get prepared for that appointment. I'm actually going to take somebody in this room and I'm going to do I'm going to do a listing presentation role play with somebody to make sure that my intention is so strong to get that listing this afternoon, this evening, that I'm even going to do a role play with somebody else to make sure I'm hot and ready to get on those things. So that's what I really wanted to kind of talk about before I get them up here, is really get you squared away in understanding of where are you right now with the level of intention you're bringing to the table for your business, right? You need to get competitive about that intention. If somebody else is saying like, man, you know what? I got to set 2 appointments from 8 to 11. You're that kind of person who goes, I'm going to set 3. I got to set one for every single hour. You know what? I'm going to set one every 5 conversations. I'm going to set one every 10 conversations. Start getting competitive with yourself and get very clear, because when that competitive nature starts coming out of you, it creates a lot of clarity in what the hell you're hunting for, right? Versus just being hopeful that things work out to your advantage. If you're in this environment and you are hopeful, you're still going to be more successful than you probably would be in most places. But I don't want you to just be okay. I want you to be in a position where you have a life of abundance, you have a business of abundance, and you're getting exactly what you want out of it, and you're really surprising yourself in the amount of growth that you're having. So let's go ahead and have Patrick, Jose, and Ashley Deep up in the front.
I let him off the leash, so be careful.
There you go. We'll have ladies first. I want to have, can you give that to AD, that'd be fantastic. You know, it hits a certain way. But I think there's a great benefit when you're hearing certain things from other people, because maybe they're more in your shoes. You're more in a similar place to them in your business, and it's a little bit maybe more obtainable to understand that some of these people, like if I say like a Jose, 30 days, he has constantly been growing, right, and evolving. But the last 45 days has been the most, bar none, and a lot of that comes down to intention, right? And there's people in this room that would go, man, I may be in that position where I'm kind of growing, but I'm not getting the results I want, and maybe just stepping up my standard of my intention could get me in a totally different position, because I know he probably feels totally different today than he did 45 days ago, right? So for Mrs. AD, Mrs. Ashley Deep, you were talking to me a little bit 2 days ago about intention, and I want you just to kind of open up how things have maybe been for you in your business before you got so clear in your intentions, and what have being very clear in your intentions done for you on a daily basis.
Well, one, I gotta go to Costa Rica next month, and I need to rack up the money for sure. So I made a deal with Jose and Andrew. None of us can pretty much leave until we set an appointment, and I don't want to see them all day. I'm not trying to see them all day.
Who is this with?
Andrew and Jose.
So with Andrew and Jose, your commitment to them is, hey,
He can't leave and he can't leave until we all set an appointment.
Oof.
And yeah.
You scared? Pyle got scared back there. She's like, shit.
Yeah. So I mean, really, It's because at some point I was sick of the cycle I was in. Pretty much scrambling for a paycheck, being good for a couple months, and then scrambling for a paycheck that I had to go to. You know, I'm like sick of my friends just being like, yo, are you gonna be a grandma forever? Like, you're gonna come out, like, or just stay at home, go to sleep early. And I have to sleep early. You know, I sleep at 8 if I want to get up early, and I am a grandma pretty much. And I was kind of sick of that cycle, and sick of my boyfriend being a boyfriend and me being a girlfriend, because I'm not emotionally there. So it's either I break this cycle now, or I'm gonna have to do it again for a whole nother year and a whole nother year. I've been doing this for like 2 years, so.
No doubt about it. So what's funny is it's not the first time that you've probably understood that I need to be way more intentional about my day. What do you think gets people caught up in just like maybe contactitis, or like, if I just need to show up and kind of go through the cycle of what I'm doing, go through my daily regimen without it being so intense on what you're looking for each and every single day? Like, how do you think you get caught up in that?
I do really think that if you hit enough numbers, you're gonna find an appointment somewhere.
No doubt.
Like, at some point, if you're gonna just stay here all day, you can hit 50, hit 60. But, you know, like, it's the same environment. You're gonna see the same thing all day, every day. You're like, I gotta go home. Like,
yeah.
I got dogs to take care of. So I just, at some point, like, if someone's like, in some indication that they are interested in selling, I would really just drag out that conversation and go for the close until they're like, okay, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus just getting off the phone and trying to do the thing with the next person.
And I think it was also like me being in my head of, should I set this appointment? They don't even seem like a really good deal or a good lead. And sometimes I'll let that get in my head, and then I'll be like, okay, well, I don't need to set the appointment because they're not a good lead, or the deal is maybe $100,000. I'll just set it anyway at some point. To set it.
You can figure those things out later if it's worth your time.
Exactly.
Right? But you are by nature a little bit more analytical.
I am very analytical.
So then she's talking herself out of setting an appointment on the phone. Any of you ever talk yourself out of setting an appointment on the phone? The analyticals probably know the most, right? And it's like, dude, just set the appointment, and then you'll figure it out later. I'd rather you set 2-3 appointments in the morning, cancel 1 or 2 of them, but you weren't in a position where you only set 1 and it wasn't even that good anyway. It was just, so that makes a big difference. So for you, just to be clear, a lot of what's kind of getting you out of that, because I think what happens is that's its own version of a comfort zone. Right? You're like, I'm coming in, I'm making some contacts, I'm participating, I'm going through the regimen. However, even though that's very uncomfortable for people that have never been in our brokerage or been in our office before, that's already way outside of their comfort zone. You getting into where you're willing to talk to people, handle objections, do all those things, you're just kind of comfortable just going, okay, well, hopefully I'm going to make a paycheck from this thing, but I'm just going to like kind of do my thing every day. And if I don't set an appointment, I do or I don't, whatever the case may be. And then now it's like, well, I want to go on these vacations. I want to live more of a life. I want to be a better spouse. I want to be a better grandmother. Well, I want you to make money and you go have fun. I want to see you, like we get to see like MJ and our tutor right now. They're in freaking Hawaii, right? I'm like, we need all of our people being able to go and have, a lot of great times, but it takes money to do that, right? And you got to get out of your comfort zone and make the kind of money you want to make to go on those kind of vacations.
For sure.
What are some ideas that come to your mind that you can help people in this room in setting and creating clear intention?
I would just say put some pressure on yourself.
Yep.
I mean, that just making that deal with Andrew Jose, I seriously don't want to be here forever. I don't even want to be here past 12, to be honest. So.
Does that help you push them to get an appointment? Because if he doesn't set an appointment,
Jose did too. At some point, there was one.
He'll live here. He'll live here if we let him.
Yeah, for real. Well, he's actually really good. He doesn't mind. I can't be here all day.
Yeah, well, I think he's in this stage. Also, your age difference a little bit. How old are you?
I'm 29.
29,
I'm turning 28,
right? He's 21, right? So,
No.
So, yeah. No, but there is a difference because you have maybe more. He's 21. He's still living with his folks. It's good for him. He's like, hey, I can go hustle at the office all day and let me see what I can build right now. You're like, oh, should I actually have a significant other I should probably go see, and I should probably spend some time with, right? Yeah. And I have dogs and I have, I have stuff going, right? And so, that makes a difference. But just to set it straight, so it's not like just her. If they don't set an appointment either, she's staying. So what does that do for you when you're talking to them? Are you like, you better set an appointment?
At some point, there's just one time where I had to make an appointment, so I had to set 2 that day. And at some point, I'm like, oh, crap. I don't even know if I can even do 2. And then I just literally started closing on every person I talked to. And I was like, back to back. And I'm like, I'm done.
And you got appointments from them?
Yeah, I literally set 1, and then I set another one right after. Then I was like, all right, I'm done.
Good.
And I was like, that's it.
Well, if you do that every single day, there's no way that you're not going to be selling a lot of real estate. Now, let's think about a little bit on terms of, before we get to Jose here, is your last, you made a statement saying that maybe the last month, the last 30 days or so was the best for you. And what do you mean by that? Because it may not only be production, but what does that look like for production? Like how many listens have you taken in the last 30 days? Like how many people have signed a listing agreement with you?
Let's say 4.
Okay.
4. So
4 listing agreements signed, and these are all houses. These are all like, what's the price ranges on these things?
I mean, I think it was from 200 up to 400.
So 200 to 400,000, right? So you're looking at like maybe $1.5 million in.
I do want to raise the price standard though.
Yeah. No, well, you should.
Yeah.
That'd be, we would all love that.
Yeah.
I love it as much as you. And so if you get that, because if you guys think about that, 30 days, right? Being more intentional, right? Because this has kind of been about 30 days of you being this intentional about stuff. Mm-hmm. So you talk about maybe around 1.5, $1 million to 1.5 gross commissions. That's like, if it closes out, that's like $30 plus $1,000 in a month. Maybe she's walking away with 22,000, whatever the numbers look like, right? Think about what that would look like each month for the next 12 months for you. What would change for you? Would your living arrangement change? Would you drive change? Would you going on vacation change? What would be changing in your life? And then you start visualizing, well, are putting the pieces together, well, maybe it will actually pay me to be that much more intentional about going throughout my day. Because you can do this for 1 month, but that's just like 1 month where you had a good month. For you, is this something that you're going to get rid of anytime soon, that kind of intention?
No, I'm trying to break my cycle.
Maybe even get more intentional, like even get more out of it?
For sure.
Good. Okay. Well, fantastic. Those were great things. Thank you so much for... Y'all see by Jose's desk, they got what does he have? The dog sign?
Yeah.
Beware the dog, right? So Jose, where do you think the intention really started to change for you recently? Like what happened to where you're like, was it what she's talking about with that? Was it when we started the accountability group last month? What took place?
Definitely the accountability group. That's when everything started.
Yeah.
And then just the skill growth with cooling, practicing every morning, being consistent about it. Just a huge improvement on production-wise.
For sure. Okay. Now, what is the, how did you have fear when you did that accountability group last month with Patrick, DP, and UDB?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you have to set an appointment every single day. Like, what were your first thoughts? Was it fear?
I mean, yeah, it is scary because honestly, before, I never done that before. I think before it was probably 3 or 4 appointments each week, like the most in a good week.
Yeah.
Then it was every day. So it was definitely fear, but I think overall with the skills of cooling, it definitely did improve that. And overall just self-belief. Mindset-wise, just keeping the vision.
Yeah. Well, what happens is when you start, because at first, when you start saying set an appointment every day, was there a certain amount of disbelief that you could even do that? Or you're like, can I even set an appointment every single day? Or pre-qualified? Because guys, we're talking about setting appointments. It's not like, oh, see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. It's like, now I set the appointment, but now I'm going to ask you 10 to 20 questions to make sure I'm not wasting my time or your time, which can also dissolve 50% of appointments or 70% of appointments right out the gate, right? Because that's why you were also setting probably even more than 1 appointment on average per day last month, right? Even in the last 45 days, I would say altogether, right? Because they're not all the best. And he would even say, I set one, I pre-qualified, I don't know about this one. I got to go get me another one right now. That is intention. You know what I'm saying? That's because most other people go, set my appointment, I'm out. Who wants to go get some drinks, right? You know? But he's like, I don't even trust him. I don't believe him until they sign the contract. It's not real. Let me set 2 more just in case.
Exactly.
That is intention, right? So when you started after that first week of you actually setting an appointment every single day, is that what really started feeding the mindset to become stronger and have more self-belief? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, for sure. After that 1 week, if you do it for 1 week, you can do it definitely again. Why not?
Yeah.
It's all about the intention, mindset.
For sure. And I would ask him, I go, hey, you know what? In the accountability group last month, I see this person's getting this person's not getting this. What is the difference between you and everybody else in this accountability group, or from what you're seeing in the office from everybody else right now? And what did you tell me? Mindset.
Yeah.
Right? Now, to have a powerful mindset, you have to be really good at selling yourself on yourself. Right? That doesn't mean you're not have a little bit of fear. It doesn't mean you're like, oh, do I have some disbelief? But your ability to control your mindset and understand that it is a possibility overpowers any kind of that common disbelief that we can have in ourselves. For you, in the last 30 days or so, how many listings were you able to take?
5.
So you took 5 listings in the last 30 or so days. How many of those are already under contract?
1 of them.
One of them, and you're about to get another one, I think, today?
Another one, another listing today.
Another listing today. There you go. Right? So think about it. 21 years old, if he can come in here and right now in the last 30 days take 5 listings and he sells those listings and he makes, who knows, 20, 30 grand or whatever the case may be, could be more. And he did that for the next 12 months. How many 21-year-olds would you know have been making that kind of money? This doesn't really happen like that, right? And it just shows you the power of that intention, the power of having a positive thinking and having a positively strong mindset. But I definitely think that's why that picture works perfect with the dog. Watch out, beware the dog, because the guy's just being a dog about it. He has that strong mindset. What is some advice you can give to some people in the room? Clearly, you're not some superly insane type producer right now, but you're at this cusp of where like things are really changing dynamically for you, and you've been able to kind of have a couple breakthroughs happen in the last 45 days. And I want to let it be known. This guy told me Yolanda, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, he goes, hey, if I don't do A, B, C, or D by July, I want you to fire me from the company. And then he did all that shit, which is really positive. And he didn't think he was even, he's not saying he didn't think he was going to do it, but a lot of it didn't come into play until 90 days later.
Yeah.
And that's the big issue with real estate agents. We can't think 90 days ahead. What you do now in most cases is going to pay you 90 days from now. The conversation you have with somebody, maybe it was a canceled appointment, maybe you met with them, it didn't work out, maybe you actually list a property, it doesn't sell for 2-3 months, then it sells. Or 90 days later, they're like, hey, Candace, you talked to me 3 months ago about the house. We're finally ready, right? That's probably happened before sometimes, right? And so, but what happens is you wanted that result today, but you didn't have the intention and the effort today to make sure that would happen 90 days away from now, right? We're trying to get too lucky at times versus being so intentional that like the luck is going to be on your side regardless, right? And that's where it needs to be. So what is some advice that we can give to people that could help them have a couple breakthroughs or a big breakthrough for themselves throughout the rest of this month in the summertime that has had an impact on you?
I would say first, definitely mindset, and then accountability.
What are you doing for your mindset other than just the intention? Are you listening to anything? Are you doing anything?
Mindset, just being more positive, and counting my wins at the end of the day. Don't let the negative thoughts bother me so much.
Okay.
Just all at the wins. That's the most important thing.
And there's the great thing is, the negative thing is for most agents, hey, did you make your contacts today? Yeah, I made my contacts today. How many, did you have some good conversations or bad conversations? Oh man, I had this asshole and he was like this, like that. And you go, well, how many good calls did you have? Oh, everybody else was perfect. Why are you thinking about the negative one? You know what I'm saying? So you're focusing way more on the positive and just forgetting the negative, or working on the negative and turning it into a positive.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And what was the next thing you were going to say?
Accountability.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Explain that a little bit so people understand, because I think we all understand somewhat of accountability, and we're showcasing that a lot more in the office of like really creating that understanding of the accountability that you may want to be in to get the level that somebody wants to achieve to, right?
Yeah.
But what does that mean for you, and kind of explain that?
Just setting a standard for yourself and making sure you have somebody to keep you accountable for.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Any other pieces of advice?
No.
Good. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Jose, for that. There you go. Hey, watch this. Give it to him real quick. Let him answer it. Andrew wanted to ask, what do you write on your piece of paper before you prospect every single day?
Oh, affirmation. Affirmation.
What is the affirmations? I'm a dog, or what do you put on there?
I'm a dog.
What,
Bark.
what is it?
What is it? Okay, first one is, I've grown so much ever since I began. Don't quit. I need to set 2 pre-qualified appointments each day. I need to take a listing today and make at least $20,000 in the next 2 months and be financial free and support my family.
Man, that's big. That's big. Yeah, I gotta let Jose give it to Patrick because he'll start tearing up on us. He's a sweet. He's just a big sweetheart. So, all right, Patrick. So you're following two great little mini interviews right here.
Probably gonna say the same thing.
Well, it's fine. It's good because trust me, they hear from me one time, they don't do it. They hear from her, they may do it. They hear from him, now they may do it a little bit more, and they hear from you now, they'll kind of put it in their head a little bit more. And so, when did you start taking your intention? You're raising the level of the standard within your intention of what you're doing. How long has it been now?
More last month, really. Whenever you set our standards, appointment every day, show up every day at 7. That's when I feel like everything changed.
One of the things I noticed for Patrick is because you wouldn't get here at 7 o'clock. No. What would you regularly get here at? 7:45?
40,
Yeah.
7:40.
Yeah.
It's all between 7:20 and 7:50.
But in most cases, more
gap.
towards 7:50 sometimes, right? And so now you knew to help yourself, because now not everybody in here can get here at that time. We totally understand that, right? But there's nothing stopping him from doing that. He could he could sleep here. It wouldn't matter, right? They're not going to change his life. There's nothing stopping him from doing it, right? But there was like a hang up. What was the hang up that you had that was just making you not so intentional on getting here before the role plays?
I'll just eat too long in the morning, or I stay at the gym too long, because I'll be up. It was just like chill too long.
Well, we're not seeing like the importance of it as much, or
I'll just lose track of time.
Okay.
And then
which means you don't have you're not intentional about the day.
Yeah. What changed was me writing on a schedule, like I need to leave by this time. I need to leave the gym at this time. I need to be at the gym at this time. And then everything clicked afterwards.
And see, Yolanda, that's why when they wonder when we go, well, what's your work schedule like, but what's your schedule like around that? That's why when I bring up like Justin, when Justin has like his schedule doesn't start at 7 o'clock, 7:30. It starts at 3:30, I guess, right? So it's a totally different way of thinking. Not just going, okay, how does my work day look like, right? But how does my entire personal because in real estate, it's not like it shouldn't be a 9 to 5 job for you where you're working for somebody, right? This is like, it's kind of ingrained into your personal life as well, right? Just, ask me and Yolanda, right? You know what I'm saying? It's in there, right? And so, but because the same thing would be, that's why we always kind of compare real estate or sales business to like sports, because trust me, like you can't leave the football field and then go home and just eat pies and Coca-Cola and stuff because you're not at the stadium anymore. It's like you got to go back to, like, the regimen is still somewhat on, right? And there's not an insane amount of balance in the beginning as people would like. In reality, if you're trying to be very successful, your personal and business life is going to be very imbalanced, right? And that's the sacrifice that we make from trying to build a business. And so then then after I just said, well, you don't have an option.
Yeah.
And so what's beautiful is he allowed me last month to just kind of make the decision for him, and it took out I know I should be getting here at this time.
Yeah.
I just said, hey, like if you're going to be in this group, you have to be in the office by 7 o'clock on the dot, right? And then how did things start changing from that point moving forward?
I got a lot of things done 7 to 7:30. Mm-hmm. Role played before our
They would role play
club.
before the Breakfast
Yeah.
Club.
Before the Breakfast Club, we'll role play. I'll do my emails. I'll write out my schedule for the day, what I need to do, who I need to contact, which follow-ups I need to do. I kind of just write all that stuff down.
And before you would never do those things. And so it created a lot more clarity in your day, right? Because did you feel like you probably forgot to do less things last month than you ever did before? You know what I mean? Like, oh, I should have done this or I should have done that.
I was getting everything done. Checked it off every time
Hell yeah.
on my checklist.
Okay. And now you need to come into this month doing the same kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And then now about the, just like the setting appointment every single day.
Yeah.
How were you going about your morning? Was it like, I have to set an appointment today? Or was it like, I better set an appointment how was
Last
that?
month?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to set an appointment. There's times that I had to do things by like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And I was like, oh, I have to get all this stuff done.
yeah.
It was like, I have to get all this stuff done. So I was more intentional from my 8 to 11 with more purpose. My calls were close as much as I can.
Okay. And how many listens have you taken in the last 30 days or so?
Last month, 3.
So you took 3 last month, 1 this month, so like 4 in the last 30 or so days, right? So you kind of see the common thread of how intention can really make that difference, right? Because we're talking about pretty much everybody here from 4 to 5 in the last 30 or so days. Now, what do you think are most people's biggest hang up on making the decision? Because kind of like you, there's other people in this room right now where they're like, I know I should be there doing this from this time to this time, or in my schedule I have this, but then I'm not really very clear. I'm not very precise on what times I'm actually doing certain things or the intention about stuff. What do you think happens for most people, and what is some advice you can give that can kind of help them get some of the results that y'all three have been getting the last 30 or so days?
I think just follow the schedule, write down a schedule that really works for you, and just follow it bulletproof. Don't really miss a minute on it, and then just have out your goals in your head all the time. Just always remember what you're really working for. Is if it's vacation, a house, or anything, just have that in mind and just go with that intention.
For sure. I think with most people, our intention when we start off in sales has a lot to do with fear. It's like we kind of get this anxiety about this process of like, I have to learn how to be a great salesperson. I have to learn these dialogues. I have to learn how to kind of be confrontational, kind of work. Like I have to learn how to dance with these prospects in a way that I don't step on their toes. And that's very like, it creates some anxiety because you're like, when Sandra was talking about your heart was beating, right? Well, what happens is that you can't think about going on vacation and taking the family to do this or buying the new car, or getting that new house when you're sitting there thinking like, how the hell am I just going to make it to the next call? And can I find something else to do right now that like seems like it's worth my time, and it validates that I'm a real, and so we kind of get caught up on these things and we don't get to think about like the end goals all the time. We think about these emotional things that we're dealing with today. Any other advice as we kind of wrap this up that you can give for anybody?
set the appointment and go to the presentation with more intention too. Don't I hope I get the listing. Go in there. I'm gonna get the listing. I'm gonna get the listing, and then again, just think about the goals. Think about what you're really coming in here for.
Well, I would say for Patrick, and it's probably been about 90 days now since the business kind of started, has been actually paying you,
Yeah.
right? In the beginning, when you're trying to set appointments and do things, it's weird that you will set an appointment, but in some weird kind of a way, you almost hope that they cancel it on you. You almost hope that like something happens for you or something happens for them, and you don't actually have to. Has anybody ever felt that way before a little bit? Right? You're like, oh, I hope like something like, I hope their car broke down and they can't meet me anymore, because that's the pressure, right? And so you're either gonna like, fail and you are going to lose to that pressure, or you're going to succeed for that pressure, right? And for you, it probably just, I think really for Patrick, just like for, AD, and I would say Jose most, because AD's been doing this a little bit longer, clearly, but for like Jose and Patrick, as soon as they got one to get signed, it kind of changed that dynamic. And for Patrick, a lot, like when Patrick got, after he got like the first deal going, then it was like, oh shit, I can do this all the time, right? And there's kind of a switch that takes place, and you should be rushing to that switch. If you don't have that belief and you're kind of very maybe intimidated about getting out there in front of people and getting contracts signed and getting this thing really going, because there's a lot of energy that goes into it and there's a lot of stuff on the line here, right? You want to force that switch to take place where you're like, I got somebody to sign a contract. I can literally do this every single day. There are top producers around the United States that are getting a listing agreement signed each and every single day. The difference between them and you is their intention, is their clarity, and the fact that they realize that they actually have that, they have the mindset in order to do that every day, while other people are like in disbelief. You go, oh, that doesn't work for me, or this isn't the way to go about it, or I don't know if I could be like that person. Well, you're right. I'd rather you be right along the other side, on the other line of it, right? Well, let's give these three a big round of applause, and thank you so much. Huh? No, I don't want to take everybody's time in the